Yeah, I don't know. I have not every state is made equal. Let's just all agree on that.
100%.
I don't think anyone would disagree with that.
I
Everyone's
mean,
got
come on.
what you prefer Wyoming over like the grand luxurious state of Rhode Island.
You can't have two states be equal when you have North and South Dakota or North and South Carolina. If it was
Or
equal, they
West
would
and East
just be,
Virginia. You're right.
yeah, they would
East
just be
Virginia.
one state.
Yeah, we got West and East Virginia.
That's funny. The first time I've heard someone say East Virginia.
So, um, I
Well,
guess
how else would you describe it?
Virginia.
that sounds so
Which one?
basic.
OG
So
Virginia.
basic. Um, so I don't know. Let's make an impromptu tier list of the states. No metrics, or we can come up with our own metrics for it. Just what do you feel when you hear these states? You know, some of them you're like, oh yeah, I haven't been there yet, and others you're like, oh, I have good memories from there, and other ones you're like,
I'm never going there.
never going there. I have no reason to. Yeah. So we'll just kind of base it off your feeling and impulse. I guess that means it's a metric of social understanding or interpretation of the states. You know, the connotation of it. But let's just do that. So, what state when platypus when this comes to mind? What's when I say this? What comes to your mind first? The United States of America.
I mean, definitely somewhere on the eastern seaboard where it all started. I mean,
Yeah.
I could be cheesy and say like I don't. I'd say either Delaware, yeah, Delaware, New York, or Virginia. Like
Delaware
Delaware's
comes
the first
first.
state,
Yeah.
yeah. But then I mean, a lot of important shit went down here in Virginia, and I don't know, like New York's like kind of a flagship state. So
Yeah.
yeah,
What
or
about you,
DC.
Orik?
That's not a state.
Are you asking just which ones come to mind
Yeah,
right
which
away,
one comes to
or
mind first when you hear in the news or think about global events as the United States of America? Unfortunately, DC is not on this list. You are right.
yeah,
We'll
that's
rank that at the end if we remember.
yeah, like Puerto Rico. That's not one of the 50 states, so I'm not going to reference that. But
Just like the
obviously,
property of DC.
yeah, obviously DC comes to mind first because that's the capital. But no, otherwise the states that come to mind when I think of the United States for me are New York, California,
You're
Virginia,
getting quiet.
Florida. New York, California, Florida, Virginia, some of the larger states that you hear about more often or have been more involved in the history of the country.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to quickly step aside really quick. Okay. So, let's start with Delaware. You think Delaware is a SAB state or a SCDF state? You think it's in
Wait,
the
what?
bottom 50 or the
You,
top 50? I was pronouncing SAB
I
and
was going to say, you're going to
CDF.
have to define those terms. I have no
I
idea
was
what you're
pronouncing
saying.
SAB tier or CDF tier. You think it's a SAB or SDIF?
I'm
Oh,
gonna go with Sab.
SAB.
we're not ranking this 1 through 50. We're just doing a general
Oh,
S
it's a
through
tier
F
list.
tier.
Yeah, no, it's a tier list. I'm not. We're not doing.
Some
Can't
people, yeah,
remember
some people
50.
think tier list is number 1 through 50.
Well, those people are stupid. That's not what a tier list is. That's a ranking.
All right. Yeah, I'd say Sab.
All right. What are you guys feeling when you hear the word Delaware?
I used to go to a beach up there and stay at a house with it was family friends,
Okay.
and it was Bethany Beach. I mean that part is obviously like pretty nice. I haven't seen much of the rest of the state to be honest. Like I've driven through it, but it's not bad. I mean, if I base it just off of like the beach, which is pretty cool, and they have like a lot of cool stuff to do there, I mean, I wouldn't put it below a B, but yeah, that's also just like one slice of Delaware, but it's not like a bad place to be.
For me, it would be like a B tier, partly because being the second smallest state in the union, there's only limited stuff you can do, tourism and everything. A lot of corporate value comes with how easy it is to set up your business there and the legal liabilities that come with it. So that's why it's booming for business. But I mean, you never hear about Delaware, or you never hear about anything coming in or going out of Delaware. So it's a quiet state,
Yes.
news-wise and in general.
Sounds like a quiet but positive state then. Yeah. It just kind of does its own thing in the background, doesn't upset or offend anyone for no reason. It just exists. But it does have some things going for it, like it was the first state, like you said.
That's what else have you heard them go for other than we're the first state.
I don't know much about Delaware, I'll be honest. It's just like, I don't have any bad things to hear about Delaware. So, that's a solid. I'd say that's definitely middle of the pack, probably the top half, though. I'll put it in B tier.
There's nothing bad you hear out of Delaware too often. It's not like you hear that it's the number 1 place for cults.
That's New Hampshire. I just put New Hampshire in because I'm stupid.
Delaware, so you don't hear anything bad, but there's not too much to go for it.
Yeah. Interesting. These are not going to be ranked in the tier himself. It's not like something on the left is better than something on the right. Anything inside B tier is all equal to each other. Also, when I make tier lists, I like a little bit of a bell curve. We may not have that happen, but that's usually what I try to shoot for personally, if that makes sense.
I think so.
Yeah, you can't have like 15 S's, 2 A's, 13 B's, 1 C, 1 D, and then the rest F's. Yeah, that's not...
That defeats the purpose of the S.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Next on the list, we will go with... Let's just shoot for the outlier. Number 50, Hawaii. I think it has a good stigma. I think everyone likes Hawaii.
Yeah, like my only complaint about Hawaii would just be it's like isolated, but that could also be a good thing depending on what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's so popular in the States, especially to visit because of how unique it is from the other states. Like, Florida and California also have beaches and whatnot, but Hawaii is its own very unique experience. It stands out from the pack. It's the newest member. Yeah, it's technically the newest, even though that was decades ago, It
was only 63 years ago, less than 63 years ago.
Yeah, plenty of people remember when that happened that are probably in Congress right now. So
I have a coworker that remembers when it happened.
Yeah.
He was like 15 or 16 at the time.
Riveting times, honestly. Enslaving a population, making them a state.
Hawaii gets a lot of their money from tourism.
Yeah.
And the reason they do that is because people like the adventure and the excitement, and they like what you can get out of an experience of going to Hawaii and being Hawaii.
And also other countries like to go to Hawaii because it's not the main set of states, but they can still visit the U.S. for a nicer tropical setting, for a taste of it. It's just got a very unique and good identity. I think I'll give it an A rank, honestly.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I'm biased towards tropics and stuff, but yeah, it's nice to go once.
I'd mark it as an A too. If I remember correctly, isn't the pronunciation also Hawaii?
Hawaii, correct? Yeah. Sorry, I'm a white, proud American. I say Hawaii. It's Hawaii.
No, I mean I said Hawaii the whole time too. I just wanted to remind people that if I remember correctly, that should be the proper pronunciation. Is Hawaii.
Yeah. No, I'm working on proper pronunciations myself. I need to add that to my actual vocabulary and say it right each time. All right, Orik, pick a state, any state. First one that comes to mind. Kansas. Oh, all right, start with Kansas. Go ahead. Yeah, we're already chuckling. What are your thoughts?
That's good, right? That's good, right? Why are you chuckling?
I mean, I don't know a whole lot about Kansas apart from like the whole weather aspect of that state. Since they're like smack dab in the middle of Tornado Alley, they have a lot of freaking tornado activity, but like I don't really know what else happens there. Like I'm sure they farm like corn and stuff out there, but if someone says corn, I think Nebraska for some reason. I mean, same like neck of the woods.
I think Nebraska is the biggest corn export, or Iowa maybe.
It's bigger than Kansas if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's all you can really do there is just farm.
Farm and
You
drive
can
down the
all,
same road the entire west to east length in a day and
and
not
you can
see a
fight the
tree.
Wicked Witch of the West, and you can go through a magical Wizard of Oz adventure.
Yeah, I guess if you're high enough and driving in a straight line long enough, you could go through the whole movie in your head.
I mean, what else do you do except like get high and farm?
And
I
drive
mean,
in a straight line and watch all the farmers working. Yeah.
or like the tornadoes. So
Well, I mean, beyond farming, beyond agriculture, which we're going to encounter a lot with many of these Midwestern states and other states, uh, does that automatically seem like a disqualifying factor, quote unquote, because we have a more mindset of tourism and appeal of going there? I
You
mean,
mean
if
for
the
the top three
lifestyle, just in general, I mean, if
tiers?
the lifestyle is what people want, then that's what people want, and there's nothing against the
Yeah,
agriculture.
no, I'm
But
not making fun of it. Those are just the
well,
stigmas that come with.
I know we're not making fun of it, but when we think of the place, that's all we think of. But for some people, that could make it automatically like an A tier, like, oh, it's quiet, agriculture, country, away from everything. I like it. But for us, I think the consensus is we're more of the people that kind of want more organization or thrill, entertainment, or attractions to go to. I'm not familiar of any state park of any national parks in Kansas, to be honest. Um,
I'll
much less
give
state parks.
I'll give
I
it
don't know many attractions there.
yeah. I'll give it a C ranking cuz when you think Midwest or Dust Bowl or any of that, Kansas is probably the first one that comes to mind. More so than like even Oklahoma, which is wedged between Texas and Kansas or the Dakotas
I
and stuff. So I
I
think
would say sorry. I would say D tier actually, because
okay,
um,
just try not to talk shit about it. Then you're like, no, 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 let's lower it a bit more, real quick. What?
well, the reason I point that out is climate-wise, they're very prone to a lot of, as you mentioned, Dust Bowl, Tornado Alley, flooding, things like that. They have a lot of weather disasters and a lot of issues out there because of the weather in the flatlands. So, and obviously, because it's not covered by trees, it gets freezing cold in the winter and then blazing hot during this. It's got, I can't say climate control issues,
All right.
because all states do, but it's got a lot more risk to environmental problems than other states, I would imagine, do, or at least more variety. So that's why I'd say D tier.
All right. Well, Kansas is known as the sunflower state. Does that have
some
any
people,
impact on your decision, Platypus?
no, I mean some people think they're scary. I learned that not long ago. Personally
Sunflowers are
give a shit
scary?
about. Yeah, apparently some people get creeped out by sunflowers. I
I
didn't
can
know that
understand
was
if you
a
have a
thing. But
phobia, but
yeah,
just
I don't know.
all right. Well, because it's a horror film setting, we'll just put it in D tier then.
Sunflower
I guess.
tornadoes and shit.
Yeah. Let me find it on this list. All right. Next one we'll discuss since it's right next to
Oh,
what?
go on.
No, no,
Go
no.
on. I'll mention it later. Keep going.
All right. Kansas, our first D tier, but not our last. All right, since it neighbors Kansas, look, I'm slurring my speech. Since it neighbors Kansas, let's talk about New Hampshire.
Oh,
It's close enough.
yeah.
Just for everyone's record that's listening, I can draw all 50 states on a map and get most of their borders right by memory, so I know where they're located. That was a joke. That's not an offense to New Hampshire or any other state. And a disclaimer, this isn't meant to be targeting anyone who lives in these states or anything. It's just our perceived ignorance of states and their stereotypes and what comes to mind first. It's not an attack on anyone or anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, also, we're allowed to do this because we live in a commonwealth. So
Yeah. And we live in America. Let's get it right. Free speech. But yeah, the Commonwealth thing, that'll be a factor. So yeah, New Hampshire, right next to Kansas, on this list.
Yep. I don't know.
The Granite State.
Is
I
that what
remember
it
that
is?
much.
Yeah,
It's
hold
the
on a
Granite
second.
State, yeah.
Yep, you're right. The Granite State.
I remember that much.
Never would have thought
Oh,
New Hampshire and rocks.
Nope.
I don't remember many. I remember that one.
I just assume it's cold.
You know what? That's something I've never thought about with New Hampshire. I know the Northeast is cold and freezes over all the time, but for some reason, when I think New Hampshire, cold does not cross my mind. Vermont, hell yes. Massachusetts, yes. Maine, hell yeah. New Hampshire, I'm like, it's there. It's more north than Vermont, but it's like, I don't know. Cold never crosses my mind. Probably because I'm thinking too much of maple syrup in Canada.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It should be cold unless there's something freaky going on up there.
New Hampshire is actually just, if you want to go a bit historical, it's actually just an extension of Massachusetts. People that didn't want to be in the Boston area when pilgrims were settling there actually went north to New Hampshire for more fur trading opportunity and to just kind of get away from the religiousness of Boston itself, which was its own like religious freedom location, ironically. Uh, Plymouth and all. So it's kind of built on this mindset of we want to be independent and we want to just be away from everyone. So it's a lot more nature developed in most states. But I don't know if that came out the right way. They're a lot more intertwined with nature than other states.
Yeah, but I do think New Hampshire and definitely the more north of the Northeast states, I do think more nature focused. They're more in
They have
tune
a
with
lot
their
more
surroundings
state
and
and federal
environments.
parks
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
So it does seem more peaceful and settling. Also, they're the first state to hold primaries for presidential elections.
I actually don't know that.
Unless Iowa or something did it recently, I think so. But
Oh yeah, Iowa's always first and then New Hampshire. I thought you meant like historically.
well, no, they always start their campaigns in New Hampshire. So
No, yeah, but Iowa does the voting first. If you're talking about the current electoral
I
system.
think that was recently. They did that. They
Yeah.
changed it because they want to be number one and get the TV on them 3 years before the election, like 2 months after the last one.
Yeah.
Who's running in 4 years? I am. Platypus, any thoughts about New Hampshire? Anything else? What do you rank it?
I Googled some pictures. It looks like a really nice, serene kind of fall destination. I can see the appeal in that.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at these, I'm kind of biased. I like fall the most. I'd say
I like fall the most also.
I give it a B tier. I mean, if you're looking for like a nice relaxing area where you can be around like a bunch of trees and everything, then yeah.
All right. Orik?
Yeah, I'd also give it a B tier.
B tier. So we got our second B tier tied with Delaware. All right. I can't find it on this map. Hold on a second. Alphabetical. Okay. Yeah, I accidentally put it as Delaware. Oh, I put it in the right spot. I accidentally put that in B tier earlier. Yeah, so. All right. We're going to do rapid fire segment. You get like 1 or 2 sentences about it. We're gonna fly through several states, and a lot of them. It sounds bad. Are going to be pretty. They're going to be pretty similar. No. No. I'll switch it up. All right. So, Orik, Alaska. What are your feelings on it? What rank, and why?
A tier.
A tier. Why?
Alaska.
What?
There's a lot of history and a lot that goes on with Alaska, just given the general free nature of the place and the resources available, the exposure to the wilderness and everything. They have a lot available. It's maybe not the most popular tourist destination because it's colder than most places, but it's got a lot of opportunity. It's got a lot of exposure to the wilderness. It has glaciers. What other state has glaciers? Granted, I'm biased. I like glaciers and I like ice-related matters.
All right, time. Platypus. What do you give Alaska? Don't be biased by his decision.
No, I'm thinking like a C or a D. But, I mean, I can't think of any reason why I would want to go up there. I mean, I hate the cold. It's going to be cold as shit up there. Although you can see, like, the northern lights. But other than the northern lights, I can't think of any reason I want to go up there. And I could see that somewhere else.
I want to catch
Glacier Park.
Way sexier.
I want to catch a bear.
Park.
Catch a bear?
Yeah.
They have
I'll
the
come
state
visit you in the
Glacier
hospital.
Park.
No, I'll make it my pet.
Jesus. All right.
All right. Well, I was also gonna give it an A or B tier, so I guess that just pushes it to B tier between A, B, and C. Alrighty.
Yeah, that sounds correct.
Alrighty. Alabama. Platypus.
Have you heard of an Alabama Hot Pocket?
Yeah, you've told us. I'm going to put it in A for Alabama. Platypus.
You're gonna do what now?
Put it in A. A tier. You know how
The
many
fuck
memes?
are you
You know how
doing
many?
that for?
You know how many memes and jokes come from Alabama? How much is in the news?
Okay, but I don't think we're thinking about this the right way.
What are you ranking?
You're asking me like what I'm right. Why are we not already putting it in an F?
All right, Orik.
What's your reasoning, Platypus?
There are like several reasons why I personally don't want to step foot in the state of Alabama, and I'm good. I don't like the Bayou and the super duper deep South thing is not really that mixture's not really doing it for me.
It's not your cup of Carolina iced tea.
No, sir.
All right, or Arizona iced tea. There you go.
I would also give Alabama an F tier.
All right, looks like a triple F. Going in F.
Are they known for anything good?
I think they
are no longer the most obese state.
Mississippi is, yeah.
I think someone else took it. They're no longer the most obese state.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Mississippi now.
They tend to rank whenever someone does a ranking. They tend to rank at the bottom for almost everything except how to spell this. Which state comes alphabetically first? Also, fun fact, I just looked it up. Alabama's state soil is just Bama.
Bama?
Oh, yeah, people that are listening, every state, you know how they have a bird and flag and nickname? Every state also has a state soil. Go ahead and look up that list. Alabama's nickname is Yellowhammer State. All right, so we got our first F tier. Next, let's just go right next to it, Mississippi. What do you feel? I feel Mississippi is an F.
Yeah, let's just cut straight to the chase. It's an F.
Yep.
People in the state can't spell it. People out of the state can't spell it.
But why would you go that? There's nothing. I'm honestly thinking, why do you travel to Mississippi?
It's one of the same.
I also don't like the heat and humidity of a lot of these southern states. It doesn't.
Deep southern states, yeah.
Yeah, the deep southern states.
You can get eaten by some gators.
And mosquitoes at the same time.
Yum.
I like mosquitoes in my gumbo.
I will say I do like some of the spicy food that comes out of these southern states with the Cajun cooking and stuff. I know that's more Louisiana, but I mean it's regional stuff. But that's not enough for me to raise it out of an F tier.
Yeah, and barbecue and whatnot. Every state has good and bad qualities about it, but compared to the others, I think the negatives outweigh. I don't know if it was Alabama or Mississippi that just recently got the Confederate flag removed from their state.
That was Mississippi.
Yeah, Mississippi. So even though they're not ranked in tiers, inside the tiers, Mississippi's probably number 50 on this list out of 50.
They're the last one. They're the last one to join the union officially.
All right.
That cluster of states.
All right. New Jersey, go speak. That sounds like a C laugh.
All right, Dean. What do you say?
Pretty much.
C tier. It's pretty middle of the pack. It's got good qualities, bad qualities. I don't think. I think it's just a good mid state.
Yeah, I'm not gonna shit on it like an episode of Futurama.
It is fun. It is fun to
hilarious.
shit on it. Yeah,
oh yeah.
And they usually have a good sense of humor about it. Even people from New Jersey, they're like, yeah, we get offended, but we still laugh because we don't have anything to say back. It's pretty accurate. So,
I mean, New York's too expensive.
Yeah, people who don't want to live in New York City live in New Jersey. So there you go.
All right, so C tier, awesome. Hold on, I got a burp. Pick a state.
Platypus, pick a state.
Let's go with Arizona.
Arizona. A for A.
I know people don't.
A for Arizona.
Well, hang on. I hear people don't really hold this one in very high regard.
Why?
Um, I don't know. I've just heard it described as like a sandy shithole. I don't really know what
I
goes
think
It's
on
a
in
desert.
Arizona.
yeah, it's desert.
Yeah,
It's the Grand Canyon,
What do they expect? It's a desert. Of course it's sandy,
but it has the Grand Canyon.
but
That's
they're
a
cool
national
deserts,
monument.
right? Or are
which
they?
is still sandy.
It's got a river. It's got some water at the bottom of a giant hole that you can't climb up.
Well, I mean, that the Grand Canyon, I guess, is cool, but how
How
much
many
of it is
deaths
in
happen every year in
Arizona?
the Grand Canyon? It's like 20 deaths a year, and half of them are deemed suspicious for murder.
Wait, what?
Hold on a second. Let me give the nickname for Arizona is the Grand Canyon State. I don't know why I looked that up. Anyways, keep talking really quick. I'll look up those stats.
I'm a little
Yes.
confused.
So
Go ahead.
he's talking about murder statistics in the Grand Canyon, but for Arizona, it's they have pockets of, obviously you can call them oases, but they have pockets of fertile areas and grasslands and stuff like that. But in general, it's still a very hot location because it's surrounded by desert. The rainfall is very minimal, so they have to import a lot of water. And then obviously right now, given the current day and age, they're going through a lot of excessive droughts. The whole western coast of the U.S. is, at the time of recording this, it's going through a lot of excessive droughts. So it's not viable. Really. If you wanted to move there today, you might have to be forced to move out within 30 years. It might not just be sustainable. But from what I've heard, people that have been there, they've actually really enjoyed it. Just the general, obviously the temperature and some of the elements of the nature where they can go for monuments, attractions. You have to remember though, Arizona was more of an outpost. I mean, we fought for it in a couple wars against the Spanish, but it wasn't. I mean, for the most part, we weren't really fighting for it because of anything in particular, just so we could have more land. If that gives you an idea of what people fought for it hundreds of years ago for.
All right, we got plenty of states to get through. But in short, 11 to 12 people die on average in the Grand Canyon. As of now, it's been about 900 deaths as of 2021. Not in 2021, but as of 2021, there's about 900 recorded. Most of them are from plane and helicopter crashes, believe it or not, because it's often flown over a lot. So what's your ranking for it?
I don't know, a D or a C.
Orik?
I was going to say C.
All right, we'll put it in a C. Solid. All right, Georgia, go.
Yeah, C for solid.
G,
Something like that.
C for Georgia.
Yep.
Orik?
I got to think about Georgia. There's actually not too much I like about it. It's not to say they don't have anything good.
Oh, every state has good and bad qualities.
I know. But
Every state doesn't have to
Hold
appeal
on.
to everyone. Every state has good and bad qualities. Simple as that. It's just, does it appeal to you?
No, it doesn't. I mean, the few times I've been to Georgia has been with the 80-mile stretch. It takes an hour and a half to drive through on I-95 to go from South Carolina into Florida. So thankfully, that's the shortest part of Georgia, which is the part I like the most. I spend the least time in there. But
So pick a rank, C, D, or F.
probably D.
All right, so we'll put it in C. We'll put it in the low C, even though they're all equal. I'll just put it at the back. Minnesota.
I do want to say real quick about Georgia. If I remember correctly, it is the peach state, the fruit peach. But if I remember correctly, South Carolina actually makes more peaches than Georgia does. So their own names that lie.
Yeah, it's the peach state. It's lying to us. Okay.
That hurts.
Minnesota. What's your thoughts on
Minnesota.
Orik?
Love Minnesota.
You love Minnesota. Is it A or B?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't know as much about it as I would like. I do know it's got over 10,000 lakes. It's got a lot of.
It's also the North Star
art.
State. But yes, it's also the Lake State. No,
The lake state?
yeah,
Is that what it is?
It's got like hundreds or thousands of lakes.
Yeah, it's got over 10,000 lakes. I said that. But
I know, but it's known as
Because-
its nickname is the North Star State, but it's more commonly known as the Lake State.
Okay. Anyways, because I don't know too much about it, I don't want to give it A tier, but it would be an A or a B for me. I Actually, I'm just going to say A because it's got that one little nook that goes up into Canada, just that, what is it, like 1 mile by 1 mile piece?
Yeah.
The very northern part of it. That's enough to make me laugh every time I try and draw the map. So yeah, I'll say that's an A tier.
All right, Platypus.
All right, see, here's my thing. Like, it's on Friday, they're gonna have a high of 19 degrees. So, fuck that. Why do you even go to Minnesota?
At the time we're recording this, it's March, so it's end of winter, early spring. Just for anyone listening.
Or if you're
It's
in
not like
Minnesota, it's
not like
still winter.
Yeah, it's not like we're filming this in July and it's like, wow, they barely got up to freezing.
No, but it's not the dead like middle of winter, and it's still like brutal.
I mean, Virginia's going up to 70 in the middle of January, and then the next
It was
day is
just
freezing and
disgusting.
with ice on the ground overnight and snow.
Also, I'd say Minnesota has been very important for the development of the Midwest and northern Midwest region, especially being around the Great Lakes with the fur trades and all that stuff. So that's why I gave it an A also.
Uh, I give it a C at best.
All right, it's going in B tier. Awesome. Nevada. I give it a C.
C. The only reason to go there is Vegas.
Which
Yeah,
is
most
founded by gangsters.
of the territory, or the state, I should say, is territory owned by the U.S. government with lots of military bases because people just don't want to buy it or it's inhospitable. So, all right, what?
I give Nevada a D tier.
So it's going in C. Awesome.
I like the history of it, but
Yeah.
I just
All right, Oregon.
it's just nothing for me.
Oregon.
I've actually considered moving out there to Oregon. If I were to go to the West Coast, and this is why I bring it up, if I were to go to the West Coast because we're on the East Coast, I would probably go to Oregon or Washington, not California, but Oregon or Washington for just the general environment. I know Seattle and Washington have a lot more, they have a bigger reputation for being rainy and stuff, so that's why I'm thinking more of the Oregon region.
All
But
right. Platypus.
I did.
Platypus.
Oregon seems nice. I would visit. I don't know. I give it about a B.
B. I was thinking more like an A tier. I kind of
I'm
like.
actually thinking A too. I'm
It
actually
looks-
also thinking A.
I kind
When I
of.
just Google pictures, this is sexy as hell. You could go ahead and bump that up to an A.
Yeah, solid A is definitely. It's known as the
Awesome.
Beaver State, which makes sense given its
A
history.
plus.
Yeah,
A plus.
the place.
Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, I'll do that. I also just like the weather. Typically, that's my kind of ideal weather, and I do like humidity before and
is,
after
it-
rain. So, I like the weather before it rains and after it rains. So, I know that's a weird thing to say, but the Pacific Northwest environment, I forget what those biomes are called. I really like them also. So, it's cool. Never been there, but I definitely want to visit there.
Out in squash
Ditto.
country. Yeah, we
Utah,
talked about-
Mormon state. F.
It's pretty.
It's really.
It's pretty scenic. They've got lots of beautiful mountain features over there. I could see the appeal.
And it's also
You
flat
know-
in other chunks, yeah.
I do want to make a historical joke about Utah real quick.
Make it quick.
They've been the butt of jokes for all of history. They used to be Mormons went out there. They wanted to found an area called Deseret, and it slowly kept getting chipped away as other states got incorporated into the United States. And
Yeah,
finally, the
yeah.
US government's like, yeah, you can have what's left.
Yeah, I remember that. They
They originally
spanned
wanted something like twice as large. Yeah.
They spanned way north and west, and then it got pieced away, like Orik said. It's known as the Beehive State. So, what do you rank it?
I give it a B.
Yeah, B or a C, maybe a B.
All right, we'll put it in the
There's
B.
a lot more to do in Utah because it's in the Rocky Mountains. So for people that like going hiking and all that outdoorsy stuff and those elements, it's an ideal
All right.
location that's not touristy.
Pennsylvania, known as the Keystone State.
B.
Maybe like a B.
Just solid B's all around. All right, yeah.
I'm not going into discussion on this.
Yeah, there's plenty to do in Pennsylvania, and
Plenty of
it's not the
history, but
best.
there's a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Actually, I
Respect
want
the
to.
fellow Commonwealth.
Yeah,
Actually-
we gotta respect it.
I do want to say real quick. One reason I wouldn't make Pennsylvania an A is, if I remember correctly, Pennsylvania has the coal mines that are still on fire underground. in one of the cities. Like there's a fire that started and it's miles large, all underneath the entire region, so the whole ground is constantly burning. Um, yeah, it's been declared a disaster zone. So I don't.
Actually, yeah, the federal government told a lot of people to leave some of those cities, and towns, and if they
Pennsylvania where
choose to
the
stay,
Amish?
stop talking. If they choose to stay, that's on their own accord. They were given benefits and stuff to leave and get new housing for it, but then some people were just too stubborn to leave. And it's not the only state with that issue, but yes, it is an issue.
Yep.
So, New Mexico.
I mean, that
See-
helped bring Breaking Bad become a thing.
Make it popular.
Otherwise,
It is one of the
I
more
don't
developing. It's the state of it is becoming very populated very quick, and it's got a lot of new companies and stuff moving into it. It's developing really quick. It is known as the land of. Okay, the nickname for it is the land of enchantment.
how?
It's not like all these
What?
other ones are states, and this is the only one that doesn't have state in the nickname. I just noticed it's the land of enchantment.
I mean, again, there's not a whole lot out there. It's a desert.
But the state fish is the cutthroat trout.
It's
That's
got what are those mythical things that take forms of animals and whatnot? What is that called again?
Shapeshifters.
Wendigos. It's got wendigos out there. Yeah.
Wendigos.
All right, we'll give it a D tier. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
It's not the worst. It's got stuff going for it. Otherwise, it's just mostly desert for now. It's part of the Four Corners,
like-
and that's about it. The fact that it
It's
shares
a
a border.
desert.
I forget, is that where the Manhattan Project was?
Yes, it was New
Arizona?
Mexico.
It was New Mexico, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
desert
it's radioactive.
with
I don't want to be there. It's radioactive. Make that a D.
Yeah. Why do you think they have wendigos? St. Louis, Missouri. How about just Missouri? The icon for the image on this website has St. Louis identified instead of Missouri.
This is its own problem.
Yeah.
I don't really.
Missouri
that's
also has
common
Kansas
opinion.
City in it. Let's just make that known to people. Kansas City resides in Missouri.
Yeah, that is weird, but
Missouri is the
I mean-
show me state, so it likes flashing.
well, hang on. That's appealing.
All right, that moves it up a tier for you.
At least.
At least a tier, maybe two. Depends on who flashes.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I don't really know much about Missouri other than St. Louis is in it,
Yeah, and
or
the,
Kansas.
Park.
Yeah,
and the Missouri River cuts through it. Yeah.
I know quite a bit about Missouri, so I'm comfortable giving it a
You cut out. You're comfortable with what?
B tier.
B tier.
B.
Platypus. B also.
I would say C.
Oh, it lies on me now. I'll give it a B. There's a lot to do out there for tourism with the Great Arc and everything. That's
Alright.
sightseeing, but there's a lot to do. It's definitely in the middle. It's a very central point for a lot of different travel and destinations. If doing that, South Dakota. It's got the monuments, and it's south of North Dakota.
Accent was so awful.
Anything else?
One of my coworkers is from South Dakota.
So
She
D.
talked. She.
No, I'm just kidding.
And she recently retired,
Okay.
and she spends 6 months of the year in Arizona where it's warm, and then when it's warm in South Dakota, she goes back.
So she prefers South Dakota. It
Yeah.
sounds like. Okay, so it's not that bad. So I'll move that up.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, based on what I've heard from my conversations of her having lived there, and from other people that I know that have been through the area and lived there, I'd give it a C tier comfortably. I don't know enough to give it an A tier for sure, nor am I comfortable enough to give it a B tier. It's kind of like Minnesota. It's a lot of country, it's a lot of forest and parks, but
All
in
right,
terms of what they
Platypus.
offer, yeah.
It looks pretty scenic, I guess. There's like touristy stuff like Mount Rushmore and all that. I mean, you could probably give it a B. It's easy on the eyes.
So B, a C, and a. Yeah, I'll give it a B also. I'm gonna go right to the neighbor and say North Dakota is a C though. We're gonna swap them on this tier list. South Dakota's gonna be higher up.
Oh, was North Dakota? Did we already rank North Dakota?
We did not rank North Dakota.
No. It does
Oh,
look
okay.
to be the more boring of the Dakotas.
Of the two, yeah. It's north.
North Dakota will actually, well, let's just talk about North Dakota. North Dakota, in some places, will actually pay you to move there because they have underemployment. So they help pay you to get a generator for your new house and for all this stuff to actually live there and start settling in. So
Also, a
they
few
do.
years ago, North Dakota was like I think in the top 5 for the fastest growing IT industry companies
Yeah.
and whatnot. So it's actually developing faster than New Mexico and stuff. I pointed out it's got a lot in the works. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 5-10 years we start hearing more about North Dakota or companies and people from there. Um, People are just
And
taking real advantage of
I
it.
actually met someone from North Dakota. He's actually working on an Indian, I think it's tribunal up there. I forget what he calls it though.
All right. Well,
There's a lot of Native Americans up there.
yeah, and in the Midwest in general. I don't know where they are, but I do know it's definitely in the plains area.
Yeah, I think North Dakota has some of the largest existing tribunals and reservations still.
North Dakota is known as the Peace Garden State, and South Dakota is known as Mount Rushmore State. Wow, they're really hitting that one on the head, that nail on the head. Iowa, we'll go right next door.
B.
B.
Dog.
I'll give it a C.
Yeah, I'm thinking C.
All right, next state. Just don't even talk. Next state, Tennessee.
A C or D.
Why D? Why is it out of the middle of the pack?
I mean, okay, they at least have, I guess, Nashville, but otherwise, this question came up once, and the kind of general consensus was there's nothing to do there except fuck your sister and like kick rocks.
I thought that was Alabama, but okay.
Well, I mean, again, outside of Nashville, it's all like bumfuck nowhere.
It's
so.
just all it's all family fucking. Okay, nice to know
Actually,
from a perspective.
I'm gonna defend Tennessee real quick. Tennessee has a lot of historical significance. I'm gonna give the C tier, and here's why. Not just this, but
Make it
Memphis,
quick.
Tennessee is actually the first place anywhere in the U.S., modern U.S., where they developed a dual sewer system, one for actual sewage and one for actual water. Before that was not an existing thing. Because of the yellow fever decimating Memphis, the government sent people in there like, hey, how can we not prevent this in the future? They actually designed the modern day sewage system that gets implemented everywhere else.
All right, so because of it, it allowed a lot of other states to exist, definitely in the South and Midwest.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, we'll put it in C tier then, I think.
And also, yeah, the culture with the music and entertainment.
Solid C tier. And if any avid listener that's a fan and has heard more episodes, they know that we've got some people that really enjoy fishing in Tennessee. So it's got some good fishing spots in the states. Some of the best.
Yeah, I plan.
It's known as the volunteer state.
Sure.
Yeah, that works. So, Louisiana, what's next? Bayou State, we got the shrimp, we got the gators.
You got a D, my friend.
Shoot them. If anyone
Yeah,
remembers that
yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Swamp people.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Like they outside of New Orleans, like I would want to go and experience Mardi Gras at least once, but besides that sole reason, I'm staying the fuck out of Louisiana. They got a D.
I would agree. It'd be good to visit once just to experience, but I would say D for when you're looking at the whole state as a whole. Yeah.
I would only go there if I needed to. So yeah, D tier.
Haven't you already been there because you needed to? No, that was Texas.
No, I'm going to later this year.
That's right. So,
because I need to.
all right. So, Montana, mountain state. Hold on. Louisiana is known as Montana is known as the Treasure State. Louisiana is known as the Pelican State. So
I would never have associated that.
Yeah, never would have.
Nope.
Anyway, I don't know. They must have shot them all. Montana, the Treasure State. I would give it a C. Nothing against it. I think it's pretty solid middle of the pack. I don't think it's the worst. I don't think it's the best. I just think the ones that are in B tier do have something a little bit more to them a little bit more. I mean, Montana definitely looks beautiful. I like looking at mountains and stuff, so I'll definitely visit there when I can travel more. But I think it's a solid middle of the pack state. I don't have any complaints about it. I just think
Yeah,
it's
C
very
tier for me.
solid.
I would give it an A from a nature porn standpoint because they
Na-
do have
nature porn,
national
okay.
park like Yellowstone, and it looks like I am googling Glacier National Park. So it looks like they have at least a few, but
Yeah, no, they've got some.
it's
It's really beautiful up there. So, but there's not much else. But yeah, it's a good thing there's not much else because the few things you think about,
That's
you're
the
like, it's
point of
peaceful.
Montana. They want to keep it that way.
I think the average population is like 6 person per acre on it. Like when you
It is.
split it down demographically, you have
if I
an
remember
average
correctly-
population of 6 people per acre.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, you got like one police officer for every 40 square miles,
Yeah. So
something like that.
people are definitely out there to defend themselves and expected to defend themselves if something happens,
they have a
I'll go up
population
to-
of about 1 million.
which is
I'll go up to-
less than a
I'll
lot
go
of
up to B
cities.
tier. I'll go up to B tier. If that's the lifestyle you want, Montana's the place to go.
So we're moving it from C to B tier because Platypus also said A for nature porn, or was that just for nature porn?
I mean,
It's up to you. Are we putting it in B or C? Decision is yours.
I would say B then.
All right, it's in B. We're putting it in the mid. All right, Maryland, home of DC.
I mean,
Technically.
fuck that, but I give it an A or a B. I mean, I used to live there, but I liked it. They have shit to do, good seafood.
Good shit to do.
And yeah, I
Okay.
mean,
Normally,
yeah,
when people
it's-
say shit to do, there's not shit to do out there. So
no, like there's actual shit to do. It's not
Alright.
a boring state.
yeah,
Then, yeah, I mean, I don't really have many complaints about the state of Maryland. I guess I'd put it that way. Like, I could see even moving there at some point, but that's my take on it.
it was the
I'd
middle.
say, like, absolute worst case, it's a C, but I think it's above average.
Yeah, it was definitely the middle of the countries for the initial 13, which is why DC was positioned between it and Virginia. It's had a lot of history. It's a border state when the Civil War happened, etc. And there's a lot to do now because, again, it's adjacent to DC, so there's...
It's also in relatively close proximity to New York
Yeah,
City and other areas.
It's just an
Philadelphia and
afternoon
whatnot.
drive away. So
Ex-
the
Back
full
in
afternoon, the full afternoon, but it's an afternoon drive away. All right.
Yeah, A tier for me.
A tier, nice. Connecticut. Feel free to speak up.
I'm just trying to, like,
C.
yeah, I think that's
C for Connecticut. That's my reasoning.
Connecticut is where people go if they don't want to live in New York. I know I see that. I said that for New
And they
Jersey,
don't
but
want to
it's
live in
true.
Maryland.
Yeah. So Connecticut's just kind of the quieter New York.
So it seems
That's
like
why I
the
give it a
default
C.
backup state. So yeah, C tier.
Yep.
All right. Wyoming.
Real quick,
Eh,
real quick, as we're doing this, Connecticut is the Constitution state.
I was just about to say that. Yep. And Wyoming is the equality or cowboy state. So it's got
Wyoming.
2 nicknames because it's
How did
equal. It's got the equality state and the cowboy state.
Wyoming, out of an ironic love for it that I have, is a C tier. And one thing I want to say real quick, I talked to someone about it. They said they drove through Wyoming to get to Colorado once from where they were from. Yeah, I took a picture when I entered Wyoming, and I took a picture when I left Wyoming. It was the exact same picture. So I've always
Yeah.
remembered that joke. So that's why I said C tier, because for what I love of it, I love it. But other than that, there's not much there.
I'd say about a C. I mean, it's a nice looking, nature-y kind of state too, but it's a bit more monotonous compared to like Montana or Colorado. So
I would say D because at least the Midwest states that we make fun of, like Kansas and Nebraska. I don't know why I was going to say New York. Nebraska for for being flat and drive through and everything. At least they produce a ton of the produce and exports that feed the country and other countries. Wyoming is mostly just like untouched, I'm going to say. It's just nature. It just kind of exists still. It was like what, the 48th state?
No, that was Arizona.
Yeah, you're right. It was in the last 5, Wyoming. So, the equality state does have a lot of stuff going for it in that sense, which is accurate. But I'm gonna put it in D, maybe high D. Need some more Ds. I don't think it's on par with like Connecticut or New Jersey. So, Vermont.
I looked it up. Arizona was 48. Wyoming was 44.
Really? So I was wrong. It wasn't even a top 5. Wow.
No, formed in 1890. But go on.
Vermont.
Which one?
The Green Mountain
B.
State.
B.
B tier.
I would say B.
Why is that?
It's
Sure.
another like
Just one
pretty
sentence.
fall New England type of location.
All right. Yeah, I don't have complaints about it. Similar to New
Syrup
Hampshire.
and nature.
Yeah.
Syrup and nature.
Yeah, I've got it. It's in the same tier as New Hampshire. Kind of one and the same if you think about each. They just form a giant rectangle. Nebraska.
And C or D.
I thought you said N tier. Like, no.
No, I mean it's just corn and twisters. So yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's got that weird, funny lip over it, so you can make good cartoon animations with it. With that, I'll give it a C. You can make
I'll
funny
give it a
pictures with
D.
it. So was that was that 2D?
I'm
So
ignorant about it.
Platypus, is that
Yeah.
a C or D? You said both.
I'm saying
Come on.
I'm gonna go with the D.
D? Yeah, giving it the D. All right. Ohio. Nebraska, by the way, is the Cornhusker state, and Ohio is the Buckeye state.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Ohio's just windy, and that's not even a joke. It's exceptionally windy the several times I've driven through it or flown through it. It's just wind. I'll give it a C.
Yeah, I think optimistically a C.
It's weird. It kind of belongs in the Midwest with huge gaps of just driving with nothing in between. But it still has stuff in it. So
like they have stuff there, but it's not extremely compelling. Like I think the Music Hall of Fame is there or something, and then they've got like Cedar Point, which that is I think still the roller coaster capital. But I don't see Ohio being like a primary tourist destination. It's kind of boring.
No, it's just that middle ground between the East Coast and like Chicago, Northern West region. It's just kind of busy because people have to go through it.
yeah.
Historically, that's also what it was. That's where they got their commerce. It's like, oh, you're traveling through, eh?
All right. Next is Kentucky, the first state added to the Union after we got our independence, if I'm correct. The bluegrass state.
D or F.
The first state is part of a new country. Put that shit at the bottom. The first thing is never the best.
No, fucking test run. It's a prototype. It sucks.
Version 2 came out later, and we got Indiana.
Kentucky's very backwater. I don't mean that in a derogatory manner. I mean, like, they actually don't keep up with a lot of the other states.
Yeah,
In
it's
terms
definitely
of
slower.
technology and all sorts of stuff. They're really behind. Whether it's funding or what, I don't know. But they really aren't caught up with a lot of other states.
Yeah, often it actually pulls a lot of pool. So a lot of the states in the USA pool a bunch of funds into a giant federal bank account, sort of, and when one state needs some extra money, they pull it. So you have New York and California pumping millions into it, and then you have Kentucky, I think, is the one that pulls the most out of that pool and never really contributes to it. So I'll put it in F.
In addition to having one of the worst education systems,
Yeah.
F.
It's just it's like Alabama and Mississippi. It's just more north. It's just slower. Now, again, we're not attacking anyone from Kentucky. I'm pretty sure there's tons of geniuses and pleasant people in Kentucky. We're just talking about the stigmas and what happens in the news, and these are the perceptions that we hear and get.
That's 45 overall for best state for education.
Yeah, so I'm not attacking anyone specifically. I'm attacking the state. They got to work on their PR. These states need to work on their PR. Anything on the bottom needs to work on it. The ones at the top got to keep up the work. They got to stay up there. So
I
That's
will
it.
say though, saying that, you just reminded me. I saw a commercial the other day about come tour in Kentucky. Come see our attractions. They do have a lot of state
I
parks and
I
federal
saw
parks
one
out
for
there.
Vermont recently, as
Yeah,
as well as one for Egypt, and I don't know why. Um.
What?
Anyways, Maine. Kentucky is the bluegrass state. Maine is the pine tree state. I'm giving Maine an A.
same.
I like the lobsters. I like the weather. I like the nature of it. It's a little bit more. Well, it's larger than New Hampshire and Vermont, so a good chunks of the state kind of are stuck in Canada, and people have to constantly towns are split in there and whatnot. Northeastmost, it was the northernmost state for a long time until Washington and Alaska came around. So I don't know. I just think it's a cool state
Maine is just like the West. Maine is a place to go if you want to be out in the environment.
on the
You
East
can also get
Coast.
a lot of coastal scenery. If you don't want to be in Florida heat, you can go to Maine and enjoy the beaches there.
Yeah, you don't really
It
get
still
that
it
in.
still gets up to like 80 degrees up in Maine. It does in the summertime. It gets up to the 60s, 70s, and 80s routinely.
Yeah, it's kind of like the East Coast, Washington and stuff. You get the weather, but on the east side instead of the west.
I
So
would give Maine an A.
platypus.
I can't really weigh in here, but I don't have any like negative perceptions of Maine, and I like lobsters, so we can give it an A.
All right, now we're going speed. Now we're like speed dating these states. Oklahoma.
That's a D at best. That's a loose D.
I say D also. Anytime I think of Oklahoma, all I think is wedged between Kansas and Texas. And the fact that I think it's wedged between Kansas and Texas, everyone knows Texas, but the fact that I have to think about Kansas before I think about Oklahoma puts it below
Yeah,
Kansas.
there's
So it's in the same tier as Kansas to me, which is D tier.
nothing compelling about it at all.
Orik, you good with that?
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
All right, Massachusetts.
I don't know. I don't care. Like a C?
See?
It's a low C. It's got a lot of history. It's got a lot of culture, and beyond that,
It's got a lot of problems.
it's urban.
All right.
It's urban. It's urban New England area.
All right, then. South Carolina. I put it in C
B.
tier.
Yeah, I mean, other than Myrtle Beach, I don't really give a shit.
But it's better than Georgia.
This is true. Yes.
They make more
Georgia's
pizzas
in
than
C
Georgia.
tier, but
Yeah, I like South Carolina better than Georgia, so I'm giving it a B.
South Carolina is the Palmetto State. Don't know what that is. So
No. It's the Myrtle Beach state.
yeah, Oklahoma is the Sooner State. Sooner, the Sooner State. So yeah, that's going in F tier.
What
I
does that
moved.
even
What
mean?
is
I just put. It's the top of F tier, but I put Oklahoma in F tier.
There we go.
South Carolina, we'll put it in C. We'll probably like mid or upper C. I don't know too much for it other than gold. I know people are like North Carolina was a gold rush, but there's more gold in North Carolina and whatnot. I think it's a very solid middle of the ground state. That's it. B and C, that whole chunk is kind of just mid tier for me. It's just
North Carolina?
South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
North Carolina, I put below South Carolina. So if North Carolina is C tier, I put North Carolina as like low C or D tier.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. They have like some good schools, but I don't care about
North Carolina is the Tar Heel state.
D.
D?
Dog. Yeah.
What did you say, Orik?
D is in dog.
Dog,
As in
okay.
Dean.
Going right into D. Michigan, the glove state. I don't know if that's the actual name. Michigan is the Great Lakes state because it borders 3 of them.
B.
B.
D.
I put B. It's got a lot going. And you can go to Canada and all that jazz. Wisconsin, the Badger state.
B or C.
C.
I'll do C.
Because Wisconsin's just got like the side effect of the Chicago area.
They've got cheese.
Yeah, they got a lot of cheese. Let's see here. Illinois.
A. All right, no arguments.
A C.
Say what?
I'd say a C.
C. I'm a little bit biased. Grew up in Illinois, born there, but wasn't really aware of anything as a child. Just, that's just where I lived. But I like the snow. And as a kid, I loved the snow, so I'm nostalgia. So I'll put it in B tier, which will be between A and C. Idaho, potato state, whatever it is. Illinois is the prairie state, and Idaho is the gem state. Or, as we all call it, the potato state. I'm willing to put it in B tier. I love potatoes as a nice Irish boy.
I mean, I fuck with potatoes too.
You don't fuck with potatoes like I do.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I'll eat out a baked potato bar by myself. So, Orik?
And you eating out a potato?
I give Idaho a C or a D.
C or D? I don't want to give the visual for what you just said, Platypus, but yeah, I'll eat out a potato. So you said C tier?
C or D.
Or Platypus?
I'd say C.
All right, C. Colorado.
I'd say A.
A. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very popular place for people to move to, live to, tour, all that.
Good nature.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They are the focal point of that region of the U.S.
Either an A or an S.
S tier. We haven't discussed S tier yet. Do you have any S tiers in mind? We have to have at least one. I'm thinking a couple S tiers, but we have to have at least one. Why?
I consider. Come on.
I'd consider it a candidate just because they've got, I guess, a little bit of everything. They do have like they have prominent cities. They've got like lots of nature trails and stuff.
Okay.
It's very scenic. I mean, I feel like
Denver Airport, home of massive conspiracy theories.
Yeah, like other than if you want the beach, I feel like you could find what you're looking for there.
Yeah, and again, a lot of people go in and out of Colorado for like a connection point between other states. So, yeah, it does have a lot of
traffic, always got commerce. Yeah, I considered Hawaii for an S tier, but I would actually make Colorado an S tier.
Really? So we're putting Colorado as our first S tier. All right.
Yeah, I would say so.
All right, we'll discuss it again at the end just to make sure everyone's agreeing with the list. But Indiana.
D.
Quick.
Wait, what did you say?
You said B. You said D as in dog. Why do you say D?
What's in Indiana?
Well,
I said D also.
I thought you said B as in boy.
Oh. No, we both said D as in Dean at the same time.
It's a Hoosier state. Yeah, we'll go in D. Nice.
I think Michael Myers stabs people there or something.
Probably. Washington State.
Maybe I'd say a B or an A.
I think it's pretty close to. It's similar to Oregon, and Oregon's an A, so I'm going to put it in B. It's not as good as Oregon.
I prefer Oregon to Washington State. Yes.
Yeah.
But I know plenty of people that live in Washington State. They tell me that they also go to Oregon for touring.
Yeah. So B then. All right. Arkansas.
No.
That's not an option. That's
It's N for no. It's F minus.
You could go ahead and fail that one.
Yeah, put it in F, Arkansas.
It just like even the fucking spelling kind of grinds my gears.
Pronunciation of it, yeah.
Washington is the evergreen state. Arkansas, on the other end of the alphabet list, is the natural state. I don't think it's the natural state. It might be too natural. F tier then? I don't know much else about it. It's just too close to Alabama and Mississippi. But it's a weird buffer zone next to Missouri and the other like Midwest states, so it's probably got a mix of everything. I'm not too sure.
So I did look it up real quick. Arkansas is named after a Samoan, I can't pronounce it, Samoan tribe, an Indian tribe. It was spelled Akansa, so that's where the Akansa came from. And then the southern pronunciation was like Arkansas.
Arkansas. It's Arkansas. That's all it is. Prefix
Yeah, but
Arkansas. Kansas
the
is a D tier.
Just saying, I looked it up.
Since
I also call it an F tier, yes.
all right, F tier, bottom. We'll put it at the top of F tier.
Actually, I want to make one more thing. When I have to make a map of the U.S., and I do this periodically, I always forget that Arkansas is located where it is. I know it's a state. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what that one is. It's the one I always forget about.
I will admit, even though I was bragging about it earlier, I agree. I'm good at it, but like I can get the bottom state, but then I'm like, where exactly does this morph into Missouri? I'm not quite sure, and stuff like that. And it's directly below it, but I just never quite remember. Apparently, it's like the pants.
It's pretty forgettable.
Yeah, then that answers your question. That's like the leftover border for when I got all the others. I'm like, well, I got to draw some weird squiggles to finish it up on the inside. So next, West Virginia. Mountain Mama.
All right. Whereas I would have failed this place before, I've gotten wind of some certain facts that might change my mind. Like they have bottomless strip clubs there. Now, I've never been to a strip club.
Yeah.
But if I was going to go to one at least once, it should probably be like an actual.
It should be bottomless.
Like
I want to see assless
the
women.
like the full experience. So apparently that's like one of 2 states or something that does that. So I could at least keep it from failing for that reason. But they got like the whole incest thing. I don't really like that. That's weird. So,
it's the coal state. We're all using coal still. It's known as the Mountain State.
They have that beautiful country song and bottomless strip clubs.
So D tier.
Otherwise,
I would say D tier also because the UN, the United Nations, reported that West Virginia was like a third world country. You haven't heard that? Back in 2018, They did a report of the poverty and stuff. They're like, yeah, this is the equivalent of a third world country, this state.
Didn't hear that.
Jesus. Wow.
Third world conditions of absolute poverty. I just pulled
That's not good. What the hell? All right, yeah, that's not.
But I've been to West Virginia. It is great for tourism. It is great for hiking and nature. So I've been there a couple times for that. I love it. So that's why I give it a D tier. It's got redeeming qualities.
All right, cool.
All right. Rhode Island. We're down to our final 6.
S.
The smallest state.
S.
I can't really weigh in. Like, I know nothing about it. Let me see if it's another, like, sexy fall destination. It probably is.
It's known as the Ocean State.
It's only like 25 square miles.
Yeah, it looks it looks like the tag on the back of your jeans when it's a little bit scruffed up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd say like a C.
I'll put it in B tier. I think it's solid. Don't have anything to complain about. I'm pretty sure it's got a lot of decent stuff. I know there's a lot of cows there.
I'll go down to A. I've done a lot of research into Rhode Island, so that's why I'm going to give it an A.
So A, B, C, we're putting it in B. Final 5. And it's going to be the big 5.
We have 5 left.
Yeah, we got California, Florida, New York, Texas, and East Virginia.
God damn it.
We'll start with Texas. F. No, I'm just. I don't want people to kill me. What are your thoughts?
I wouldn't want to live there, but it's not the shittiest state by far. I mean, I'd say at worst a C, maybe like a B. I mean, there are some really nice parts of Texas. Yeah, I'd say a B.
So we agree it's mid. We're not just talking about like the industrial zones. We're talking about all of Texas, both on the border, the big industrial cities, and that includes the big Panhandle North part that no one talks about.
The part that they took from Oklahoma. Yeah.
All right. I agree with a B.
Yep, B.
All right. Florida.
That place mostly sucks, except for like Tampa and Orlando and the immediate vicinity.
Well, that just sounds like Louisiana with extra steps.
Kind of.
But
I mean,
Florida's
then they
more
have
of Florida's all about tourism. That's the difference.
they have the happiest place on earth.
Oh, you
Tallahassee.
mean you mean Disney? Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean they can technically say that.
Florida is the Sunshine State, obviously.
I hate Florida. It's at least a C at best, or it's at most a C for me.
I would agree. Florida's like C at best on a good day when it's warm.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm in a
don't
good
really
mood because I'm cold-hearted.
like it.
So we're putting it in D tier?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
Florida
Okay.
men down there.
Sounds good. It's not quite F. Good job.
I was really considering C tier for the manatees, but I just couldn't do it.
No, there's so much
No,
wrong with it.
Yeah.
have too many problems.
I do like the Everglades.
Again,
but go on. What's
Yeah,
next?
again, they've got a lot of good stuff. Every state has good things about it, things I will visit because I will visit every one of the 50 states. But Florida does not have that much to offer, in my opinion, that I can't get elsewhere for better,
No,
for less stress.
I've seen clips of like school board, like town meetings or whatever. There, I'm good, man. I'm straight.
Yeah,
Nope.
You know what? Yeah, don't be gay out there.
Not what I meant.
Oh,
but
okay.
all right.
You'll get shut up. Anyways, California.
No matter what, I just want to say that California is really overrated.
It is. I was gonna say C for California.
Yes.
Yeah, which I mean, not to make light of it, but the fact that they have like a serious drought problem and they get yearly wildfires is pretty fucked up. And I can't rank it that high, if only for
All the
those two
earthquakes.
things.
There's a large
Yeah.
chunk of the state that's trying to separate into another state because they're like, we're not anything like the West Coast, highly industrialized Silicon Valley and Hollywood and whatnot. We're a normal state. So they have a lot to manage, and they're not managing very well.
C.
Yeah.
C. All right, New York.
See?
There's a lot more than New York City, yeah.
Yeah, but why do they have 3 football teams and usually they're all garbage? Oh, that's a
Because they
separate
don't
conversation.
They're
collaborate. That's
hoping
why.
the trilogy is a better set than the individual.
It's not working. No, I don't like New York City's cool or whatever. I could visit. I personally wouldn't ever live there unless I was super rich and had multiple properties all over the place.
It's
Then-
just a flexing point to live there.
yeah, then I'd get one up there. Why not? They they have amazing food and stuff to do, but like, I would just visit. Personally, I would just do like a C, maybe a B, because it's not just any city. It's pretty crazy, but no
But then you
higher
got to
than
think
a
about
B.
the rest of the state. You got Niagara Falls. You have Albany, the capital. You have just peaceful northeastern.
True, but then I mean, is it really like is the more serene part of New York like enough to want to write home about?
No. Yeah. Living in New York is kind of like a cult mentality. If I'm in New York, we've seen shit. And yeah, you have, but that doesn't mean that's a good thing. That doesn't make
Yeah,
you better. So,
Someone had shit smeared on their face in the subway. Which, I mean, it's not surprising that it's.
I thought that was like daily.
It probably is, to be honest.
Oh, it's our 5 o'clock appointment.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Well, New
I would
York.
give it a B. I would give it B for Buffalo.
You know what? For Buffalo, it's a B.
What?
No, I'm just kidding. You said C.
Yeah.
You said B.
Buffalo, New York.
Why? Have you been to Buffalo?
I don't know. Do
Have
you
you?
prefer New York over
Yeah.
New Jersey and Arizona and Nevada and Georgia and North Dakota?
Ooh, well, actually, most of those for sure.
Okay, so those are all the top of like C, so we'll put it in B.
Yeah, I guess that makes
It's
sense.
the middle of the pack. We'll call it 25 out of 25 for the top half. Anyways, the last one on the list is East Virginia. We're all a little biased about it. Currently residing there.
Currently,
Yeah,
just want to point this out, Virginia is 4th for best public schools in the U.S.
Mostly due to Fairfax.
That's upsetting.
Yeah.
Mostly due to one county, primarily. It's the Old Dominion
Exactly.
State. It's also one of the richest because of Fairfax, right outside of D.C., but that's
And
not very
and it's also top 5 for most military active states.
because of Hampton Roads in D.C. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So it's got a lot.
It
that
has
goes
a
on
lot of
here. But
activity, a lot of diverse geography from the different regions, from the mountains in the west to the coastlines on the east and the rolling hills in the middle in Richmond.
got a lot
It's
of
got a low
history.
crime rate compared to a lot of cities in terms of like the capitals.
There are some scary ass parts of Richmond, but I guess
Every
it's
city
pretty
has
much any
scary ass
city.
parts, yeah. Every capital's got sketchy parts.
I would give it an A. And that's taking out the bias. That's because, granted, yes, I have a lot of experience here, but I've actually been to almost every big city in the state. I've been to most corners of the state except for the Eastern Shore. I just drove through it. I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot of it. I'd give it an A, comfortably.
And it's
There are
very
also a lot of really good universities and stuff too.
Exactly. It's got a lot to offer.
yeah, there's a lot to offer. It's a decent sized state. I don't like them too chunky. I don't like them being wasted.
Slender.
Yeah, it's got a good amount of stuff to do just in general between beaches and mountains and cold and
And
warm, and I'll put
it's
it A.
central to everything.
Yeah, on the east.
You can get to the Northeast in half a day, and you can get to Florida in half a day. It's just central.
And it
Yeah, I
makes the
think
news every year because of accidents on 95 or 94 or what is it? Yeah,
The
95.
highway.
Yeah.
hey, we technically have the Pentagon too. That's ours, at least I think.
We own it, not the government.
Yeah, you're right.
It's
Right,
ours.
is
Ours, we
our
took it.
Pentagon.
We picked it up and we moved it somewhere else. So,
Hmm.
okay. So, are we agreeing on A?
That seems fair.
Bias aside, mine has bias, but I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my favorite state either, but an A makes sense to me.
Like I said, based on how we're ranking things, I can put my bias aside because I have a lot of experience here. So yeah, A. I've seen enough to validate my reasoning.
All right. Well, that's cool. So yeah, that's everything on the list. That's all 50 states. We're not going to do District of Columbia because fuck it, it's not a state. No one gives a shit about it. No one in the world cares about DC
Nah.
and what comes out of it.
Nope.
Nope. What is it? Anyways,
I don't trust a state without any vowels in the name.
I don't. Yeah, if there's no capital, I don't give a shit about it. does- Anyways, so in review for our listeners, in S tier we have the one and only Colorado, which was incidentally the only one that S was mentioned. And several times I wanted to be like, "Oh, what do you guys think?" But I was gonna let it come up in casual conversation. So we'll see if it's the lone reigning best state according to Unfiltered Pineapple here. In A tier we have Oregon, Hawaii, Maryland, Maine, and East Virginia. For any foreign listeners, I highly doubt we have any at the moment, but it's just Virginia. The joke is it's east of West Virginia. It's just known as Virginia. I'm calling it East Virginia because I can, and screw you. In B tier, not in order, not in alphabetical order either. Delaware, New Hampshire, Alaska, Utah, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, Montana, Missouri. Again, it says St. Louis, not Missouri. South Dakota, Vermont, Michigan, Illinois, Washington, Rhode Island, Texas, and New York. In C tier, we have New Jersey, Arizona, South Carolina, Nevada, Georgia, North Dakota, Iowa, Tennessee, Connecticut, Ohio, Massachusetts, Wisconsin, Idaho, and California. In D tier, in the bottom 20, I think. Bottom 19, we have Wyoming, Kansas, New Mexico, Louisiana, Nebraska, North Carolina, Indiana, West Virginia, and Florida. And topping off the list at the very bottom, on the bottom of your shoes, is Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Alabama, and Mississippi. Gentlemen, we have gone through this list extensively in a short amount of time, best we can. Do we really think that we have one lone S-tier state? I'm okay with it. I'm just curious what your thoughts. Should we push up Oregon to S-tier? I'm willing to vouch for Oregon or Hawaii. But we could just have Colorado. Are you guys thinking they deserve S-tier or just solid A tiers?
We got 5 that barely made the F tier, So we can certainly
No,
have
hold
two
on,
in
hold
the
on.
S tier.
Oh, by barely made F tier, you mean they made it into D tier?
No, like they barely made it. If there was a tier lower than F tier, they barely made
Oh,
it
you mean
into F
okay?
tier.
You mean they barely made it on the list? Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, no, they definitely, a couple of them definitely made F tier. That
Yeah,
was,
they earned that
yeah,
shit.
they worked for it on so many lists, not even ours.
Yeah, if there was a tier lower, they somehow made it into F tier kind of thing.
Gotcha. Okay. Are we gonna? So Colorado, we kind of mutually all agree is an S tier state. Do we want to push any others up from A tier? We got Oregon, Hawaii. I got crabs in Maryland is the logo on this website. Maine and East Virginia. I'm fine with Virginia being A. I think it's a solid A. I think
The only
Maine's a
two I would
solid A and
consider,
Maryland's a solid A. I don't think they're really S tier states.
yeah, the only two I'd
Agreed.
consider would be Oregon or Hawaii. And if anything, I guess Hawaii, just because it's so unique for anywhere in the world.
True.
Yeah, that is a good point.
I could see bumping Hawaii up to S.
And
Yeah,
those,
like I said at the start, I considered it, but I didn't want to make it an S tier right
it
away.
was the
once we
start of the
started.
list where we had 50. So
Yeah.
we could, I'm, if you guys are cool with it, I'll bump it up to S tier, both of them.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, both or just Hawaii?
Well, do you want both or just one? I can
I
see
was
Hawaii
thinking
definitely being an S tier. Like you said, it's
Yeah.
very unique. It's its own thing. Everyone seems to have positive experiences or desires to go travel to it, and thoughts about it. No state's perfect, but it's got a lot going for it when anyone thinks about the name. Oregon, do you guys think it deserves S tier also, or just A tier?
I met a girl from Oregon once, and she was hot, so we could do that.
We're moving up to S. If the sexy man himself says he found someone.
I say S for Sasquatch because they have a lot of Sasquatch.
Yes, they have a lot of
They have a lot
Sasquatch
of
sightings too.
and roadside attractions. A lot of venues where you just drive downtown. You see, look, it's the upside downtown and things like that.
And a lot of weed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For people
I forgot
that
that's a
care.
thing out there.
Yep, West Coast perks and all.
Yeah, so our 3 S tiers are Colorado, Hawaii, and Oregon. No particular order. A tier is just Maryland, Maine, and Virginia. Do we want to keep anything on that list? Did we want a chance bumping anything up from B tier? Do we think everything in B tier
when we
is
get to
equal?
B tier, we'll talk about moving.
Let's go
something
straight
up.
to B tier. Do we think B tier, everything in B tier is roughly equal to each other? Do we think
No.
Delaware and New York are... Now, I know each thing's in the tier are not listed in order, but, some of them are the top of B tier and some of them are the bottom of B tier. AKA, we put New York at the bottom of B tier in Texas.
I would actually argue Rhode Island is A tier, not B tier.
You think Rhode Island is top of B tier or A tier? Is what you're saying?
It's A tier. I would bump up Rhode Island to A tier, but I also said A tier at the start.
Yeah.
We balanced it out to B tier.
What are your thoughts, Platypus?
I don't really have any strong feelings about Rhode Island. I mean, I think it's decent enough to be in either A or B, and it makes sense. But I just
One thing I'll say.
context.
I'm going to interrupt you. One thing I'll say is if you think of where Rhode Island is, it's near New York, it's near Long Island, it's near Massachusetts and Maine and all these other places that we talk about having good things or bad things, whatever. It's a very central location for all of New England. So anything you want to go to New England for, you can get to with Rhode Island in an easy days trip.
And it is
Whether
it's kind of like, it's not isolated, but it is kind of its own little corner of the Northeast.
Being only 25 square miles, it takes you less than 30 minutes to get to it takes you like 40 minutes to get to Boston and like an hour, maybe an hour and a half to get up to Maine. Granted, you got New York traffic, but even then you can take ferries and stuff into Long Island. It's a very central location. So maybe Rhode Island itself doesn't have anything, but because of its ease of access to everything else, again, it's ideal if you want to be in that area, but not say, oh, I'm in Massachusetts.
Okay, so hold that thought really quick. So we all agree that when we hear I'm going to list names of the states, not all of them in the B tier. We all agree that they're just definitively B. We got Minnesota, Utah, Pennsylvania, Montana, St. Louis, Missouri. God damn, that logo that always gets me. South Dakota, Vermont, New Hampshire, Michigan, Illinois, Washington State, Texas State, New York, and Delaware. We think all of these are solid B tiers. Is that correct?
I would put Washington in the A tier.
You think Washington might go A tier?
Between the
Orik
climate-
thinks it goes. Orik thinks Rhode Island goes up in A tier. All right, but the every other one I listed stays in B tier. You think, right?
Yeah.
Same with
Yeah.
Alaska. I missed Alaska.
Why did we put Washington in B tier? Was it just because I said that people I know in Washington said they go to Oregon for fun?
No, I just said we think Oregon's a little bit. We just said Oregon's a little bit better than Washington,
Okay.
so it could go up to A tier because it's still below Oregon. But all the others on that list, you guys agree, are solid Bs. None of them really deserve to go up to A.
Yes.
All right, so Rhode Island and Washington, we can put Washington up to A and keep Rhode Island at the top of the B tier.
I
That
thought you said
sound
we're
good?
putting both at A.
We can. That's up to Platypus. We got to have like a solid consensus on where it's at, if it's going to A tier or not. If he thinks it's an A tier state, or if he's really like, nah, I just don't feel it.
I don't have anything against Rhode Island, but that's why I said either an A or B could work. I just didn't think it was all that, like, it didn't leave as much of an impression, which is why I didn't say A. But I
That's
mean,
fair.
again,
That's fair. Like, Orik is a bit more familiar with Rhode Island and whatnot, and I am too, so there's a slight bias of knowledge in there. So we'll just keep it at the top of B for now. Washington got bumped up to A. C tier states. I'm going to list those really quick again. Keep note of the ones that you don't think belong in C tier for whatever reason. We have New Jersey, Arizona, South Carolina, Nevada, Georgia, North Dakota, Iowa. Definitely Iowa stays in C. Tennessee, Connecticut, Ohio, Massachusetts, Wisconsin, Idaho, California. Iowa was the easiest one to place. Honestly, it's not even at the top of C. It's just C. It's in the middle of this whole list. So
do we want to lower? Can we downgrade Nevada?
we can do that if you want.
I mean,
It's got Vegas and gambling and addiction and money problems and tons of sex trafficking and that's all in Vegas. Who knows what happens in Coyote Land? Who knows how many coyotes are?
There's one reason to go to Nevada, and it's mostly just a wasteland.
Yeah. Pee on federal property and get back at them.
Exactly.
Yeah, we can lower it to D.
Damn.
If
I'm fine with knocking Nevada down, but I also think changing states. I also think California should probably be moved up to a B, because again, just like New York and Texas, it has, whether we like it or not, it has a lot to offer.
It does have a lot of different geography and everything too. Yeah,
and industries and all that stuff.
All right, we'll put it at the back of B tier. So it's at the bottom of B tier.
Iowa, that's a C. No conversation. Iowa's solid C tier.
Everything else you guys think is a solid C? Everything?
Yeah.
Georgia, Ohio, Wisconsin. All right, cool. D tier, we have the newly added Nevada as the leader of the pack. We've got Wyoming, Kansas, New Mexico, Louisiana, Nebraska, North Carolina, Indiana, West Virginia, and Florida.
That sounds right to me.
Florida is at the bottom of the D tier, by the way, in case anyone was curious.
Perfect.
Right above F. It's just the borderline fringe state. Everything between Nevada and Florida is accurate. You've got Nevada as the best of D tier and Florida as the worst. So, but the others are not in any particular order in that tier. The Wyoming, Kansas, New Mexico, Louisiana, Nebraska, North Carolina, Indiana, West Virginia. No order, but they're all in between Florida and Nevada, relatively.
I agree.
And so F tier, the MVPs of this tournament. We got Mississippi as 50 out of 50. We got Alabama as 49 out of 50. We got Kentucky as 48 out of 50. Oklahoma as 47 out of 50. And leading the pack in F tier is Arkansas.
The forgotten state.
Yeah. Does anyone have any disagreement with that? Or you like that order? At the top of the list, it's Arkansas, and at the bottom, it's Mississippi. I did it in reverse order.
I think, yeah, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi. I think that is a very accurate description of where they place in top in the bottom five.
The MVPs. All right.
Or maybe we can mark, if we could have a 51st state, that would be Mississippi again. But they get 50 and 51.
All right. Yeah, just latitudinally inferior.
Yeah.
Can't help.
All right. Well, this seems like our final list. The officially unofficial. I don't know how to say it. It's not real, but this is what we're going with on our podcast. So it's real to us.
The extensive summarized unofficial official tier list
Of our
states.
emotional decision making based on our perceptions of each state. Yeah, that's the short end of the title.
Let's make that into an acronym.
We'll have to
Another
type
time.
that out. We'll put it in the description. That Sadkusk tier list. So if you can come up with a name really quick, that's fine. But just as a reminder, our S tiers that we voted are Colorado, Hawaii, and Oregon. Congratulations, West Coast. East Coast is A tier pretty much. Maryland, Maine, Virginia, Washington. And at the bottom, we have the South, the Deep South. We've got the Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi.
With Florida just missing out.
Florida just missing out, unfortunately or fortunately, I'm not sure. So, that's our tier list, everybody. Any final thoughts? Maybe an acronym or title for this tier list? Orik.
If we had more time, I'd be willing for a very in-depth discussion of each
Yeah, but
state.
that's
But as
more
it
hours.
is what we did, I'm very satisfied with what we came up with.
I am too. Platypus? Maybe a name?
Yeah, I don't know. I could think about acronyms, but I'd need more time. For
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but I mean, otherwise, I think we did a good job. Putting the states where they deserve to be in an officially unofficial capacity.
Yeah. So I'm going to see if I can save this picture, and we'll add it in as a description into the description or as the background, the final image. So we'll see.
Sounds good.
All
I
right.
knew Mississippi would be last.
I was suspecting it also. Not going to lie.
We're just following the precedent others set. Leave it at that.
In the future, we'll record the live recording and updating of the tier list, but right now we just got the final image for people. So, alrighty then. Orik, last comment before Platypus closes us out. Any last comments?
Yeah, just remember, this is a ranking of how everything stands compared to Iowa.
True. Iowa's the middle. So, I guess my final thoughts are just, fight me. So.
Anytime I'm down to run some gory Mario Party a little later. But thanks, everybody, for hanging on and tuning in with us here at Unfiltered Pineapple. I'm your host, Platypus, here with Orik and Dean.
Be sure to check out all our social media handles.
Comment, like, subscribe, dislike. You won't be able to tell how many people dislike, but we can. We hear your feedback. So, all right.
You have been warned.